whereby we live a life of health and wellness. We live a self-directed life. I ain't directing your life. John ain't directing your life. We live a self-directed life. And we strive to reach our full potential. We strive to reach our full potential. You know, man, hey, look, man, let me just tell you how this thing works. I've been doing this for a while. Man, my son sees me doing it. He starts to doing it, you know. My son had spoke at some of his classmates' funerals, spoke at some of his classmates' weddings, spoke at my daughter's wedding, you know. My granddaughter, 3 years old, she sat down for dinner and she prayed. Short prayer, but she prays, you know. Man, this is how this thing is, man. This chain that we have established after we develop ourselves, man. And the place that it starts at is in our family. Starts in our family, man. I didn't even silence my phone. My daughter might call me before I leave here, because that's the kind of bond, that's the kind of relationship that we got, you know, now. And my daughter was born when I was in the penitentiary. She learned how to walk in the Virginia State Penitentiary. It ain't even standing there no more, you know. When I get out, she was 6 years old, you know. And our lives, man, can change. You know, our lives can change. But we need help with it, man. We need help with it. I'll tell you in a minute, man, I don't know everything. Man, I meet some of these guys in the jails and the penitentiaries. Damn, they smart. You know? Guy down in Hanover jail, you know? I was like, dude, you the smartest one in the jail, but you can't stay out here. Landon, I'm going to call him out. I'll call his name out. He the smartest one in the jail. Every time you turn around, every 2-3 years, he back in there. That ain't being smart, man. It's being stupid, you know? But for us, man, it got to be self-motivation. This is what recovery is about now. It's about being self-motivated, you know? And a lot of times, man, you can't find it, you know, within. You might can get it outside of you. This is what the program's for, you know? I'm telling somebody the other day, this is what's trending, man. Asking for help. Going to places. You know, and that was one of Honest's dreams. It took 14 years, 15 years for it to happen. But it just wasn't an idle thought. You know, she did something about it. That's what I like about recovery, man. You know, it's a process. You know, hey, and John always, man, look, man, Marcia stopped and get some donuts. He loaded. He got a plenty of money. You know, I understand about the process. I had to work. I had to save money. I had to bank money. I had to hide money so that when I retire, I could do things like that. And I mean, yeah, that's a shout out, man. Hey, hey, to yesterday, a friend of mine got out. He'd been locked up for 7 years, you know. And man, I cashed app him $100 a day. Because I told him, I said, look, man, I know how it feels to walk up in a store and you ain't got nothing but dust in your pocket. You know? I'm giving you this so you have something in your pocket. And you know what? Old school. That's how they did it when I got out the penitentiary. Dudes gave me money, you know? Man, to help you out. You know? And I always remember that. And I'm still passing that on, you know? And I pass that on to Steve today, you know? And, man, I'm just grateful that I'm in a position to do stuff like that. Because I have developed myself into being a young man, you know? And, you know, I got a late start, you know? But it ain't always how you start, it's how you finish the race. You know what I mean? And you know, so I mean, I feel like I'm finishing strong. You know, that's my mantra, man. I mean, when I play golf, shit, I want to finish strong, man. Last couple of holes, I want to finish strong. And that's what I do, different therapies because things change in recovery just like it changed in legal, just like it changes in medical, you know. I mean everything. A whole lot of people didn't even know that language changed in 2010. A lot of people don't even use I'm an addict no more. I'm a person in long-term recovery, you know. That changed for several different reasons, you know. And so a lot of times you can't keep up with that stuff, man. But, you know, I asked her earlier about Maxine and the Destiny House and all that, you know. And what we do, man, is we have to stay abreast of this stuff, and we do this, man, by our program, man, you know. Because, man, I'm telling you, some of the changes I refuse to even tell y'all about. Some of the changes I don't even believe in, you know. But some of the changes I feel like are good. You know, I just spoke to them earlier. When I first came into recovery, recovery was a 30-day program. They send you to a 30-day program. You come back out after 30 days, and you just pick up where you left off at. You know? Long-term treatment became the trend. 6 months, 9 months, 15 months, 18 months, you know? And that stuff worked, man. That stuff worked, you know? Because a whole lot of us need to be removed from our present environment for more than just 30 days, you know? That's why I say, man, McShin, man, you know, you can go there for 6 months, 9 months, or a year, or whatever, you know, and it'll take you to a different level, another level here, you know, of recovery, you know? And you also get an opportunity to learn something about yourself while you're doing that, you know? And it's good, man. You know, you heard me talk so much about McShin, and all y'all know this guy that I'm reference to, because John is one of the co-founders, man. John and his wife, man. You talk about somebody having a vision, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they had a vision back in 2000. It unfolded like in 2004, right, John? 2004. Yeah, 2004 is when it unfolded, you know what I mean? But you know, you got to be around here to understand some of the ideas that people have had since coming into recovery, you know? I mean, I can't tell you now how many people got recovery homes, 1 or 2 recovery homes, you know? I can't tell you all of what people are doing, you know? Working for different organizations, you know? And it's on the move, man. I've been doing this shit, man, for 35 years. 35 years I've been doing this shit, you know what I mean? And, man, I ain't mad about it, you know? I done been places I'd never dreamed of, you know? And it's all through recovery. Recovery is my foundation, you know? But, man, this is a springboard to anywhere you want to go, you know? And that's how I latched on to John, man. I hitched to John's wagon, you know, 100 years ago, you know? And me and him been rolling ever since, you know? And y'all latch on to this guy, man. Latch on to this guy's program. It may be hard for you to catch him because he might be on the golf course. But latch on to his program. Yeah. Latch on to the program, man, or anybody. You know what I'm saying? And, man, make that thing work, man. Hey, John, I love it, man.
I know, man.
I like that, yeah.
I outgrew my McShin shirt.
He dressed, man, like he got some swag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He dressed like he got some swag.
I'm swagging all right, man. Swag uphill, swag a few details. You know, I'm listening to Marshall talk, and then I'm up in my head about an upcoming trip I'm taking. Once again, thank the sheriff and you for coming in here after hours, making sure we get up in here. This just doesn't happen. I bet 80% of jails in America really don't have a decent, any kind of drug or alcohol program. More or less, let peers from the community come up in here and make this connection, share our wisdom with you. It just doesn't happen, you know, so we appreciate that. Thank you. You know, Marshall's talking about his kids, grandkids, and how some of the things they're doing, because Marshall's doing good, our kids do good. You know, my daughter grew up in recovery. I'll tell you 2 incidences. One, when she was around 20, her boyfriend dumped her, right? She's all brokenhearted. So she went where she knew the love was. So she goes to a meeting. Because she grew up in the fellowship. She grew up in meetings. People know her. She knows people. And she shared her pain, and everybody hugged her. I just thought that was priceless, you know. You know where to go. You go where the love's at. And then now she's a school teacher. She's 30 years old. She's a school teacher up in Caroline High School. And during the year, she organized a prevention day where all the students had to come. Each class had to come and sit for 30 minutes, and she had a panel assemble of people in recovery to explain this illness. And you know, but not only don't hopefully get like that, but if you do get like this is what you do. It's it's a different spin on prevention. Our prevention, we teach kids drugs are bad, don't do them. But the truth is most of them going to have a problem. They're going to need to know where to go. So don't stigmatize that portion of it. Anyways, little history. I'm going to tell y'all some things you didn't know. And I might quiz you, and that'll determine whether or not we bring donuts back. And I was good today. I had my cereal. I had a salad for lunch. And I was going to go home and eat light, but no. Now I done ate my calorie count here, so I'm done for the day. But there was an old doctor, this is a true story. He discovered that if you took a bunch of, back then it was alcoholics, but I guess it would be for drugs as well, take them away from their substance, put them all together, get them detox, talk some sense into them, then teach them how to reach back out in the community, kind of like we're doing today, peer support specialists, and help other people access recovery. And he actually was the first physician to proclaim addiction as a disease. And that was Dr. Benjamin Rush, and he signed the Declaration of Independence. America has known about addiction and recovery for centuries. A little further in our history, there's a lot of movements have come and gone, you know, but they were primarily faith-based. And, you know, church folks would get together, but they would create clubs. Like I'm sure you've heard of the Kiwanis Club, the Rotary, yes, stuff like that. Well, back in 1840, a group called the Washingtonians, bunch of reformed alcoholics, they just said, we ain't drinking, going to bars no more, so let's club up. You know, they had 600,000 pledged members in 1843. That's a lot in our population back then. And they used to bring in speakers and give that message of hope like me and Marshall do. You know, reformed people giving a message of hope ain't new. One of their speakers was Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so I know y'all don't know this yet. And then faith really come on strong. And in 1860, William Booth in England started what's known as the Salvation Army. And it came here in 1868. And they're still going strong. And then later on in our history, somebody said, you know what? Maybe medication would be good. And the Yale graduating class of 1880, all the doctors, every one of them experimented with drugs, okay? They all died. One doctor lived till like 19-something. He became the first chief of staff for Johns Hopkins. He opened his diary, and they saw where he took morphine every day of his life. So now you got maintenance. You got Christian faith-based. You got maintenance replacement therapy. And then Dr. Freud come along. He said cocaine is the cure for opiates. Wrote a big article. And then they're going to let Shannon in, Pam. And a year later, he wrote an article saying, I made a mistake. Cocaine come from the devil himself. You know, big shot there. Y'all excuse me for 1 minute. No talking while I'm gone. You want to say hello? Hi. Come on in. This is our Commonwealth attorney, Shannon Taylor. How many of y'all been to court here? You know who the head prosecutor is? This lady right here. But you may not be aware, but we do this every Tuesday.
I know that you've got this going on.
Yeah, we rotate from here and then over to east. But I'll tell you something about Shannon you don't know. We were bragging on our recovery houses one night and said, you ought to come by, check them out. About 9 o'clock one night, she's banging on the door of the Chamberlain house. I'm coming to check it out, unannounced, but catching it raw. And it was a pretty cool experience, wasn't it?
I do. Who all's in Rise right now?
None of them. You're not in Rise, are you?
But you're Orbit.
Orbit.
So yeah. But so no one's in Rise right now?
Yeah, they're all over at East.
Right.
This is 2 different programs.
That's right.
Rise and this.
We're in the new MAT program. Right. So everyone appreciating that opportunity? Yes. Very much so. Awesome.
By applaud, how do you like us coming in here? By applaud, how do you like Marshall bringing in donuts periodically?
Well, it's all about, just trying to find the options because we all know that everybody's journey is different And so what may work for some person may not work for another person. And the idea of wanting to try to use, like I always talk about, you know, the guide of the court system, not to a conviction, but getting the guide to treatment back to a healthy life, getting people back on track to the, you know, to a place where they want to be, so they can be productive to their kids, to their families, to themselves, really, first and foremost. And that's what we hope to see coming from that. So, well, and I'm glad that you guys are here, because I know that this was a big effort with the sheriff and John to let, you know, his program come back in here again. So I'm glad that that's worked out. Everyone's taking it in the way that it's supposed to be as a benefit.
Well, give her a hand. She come by. I'm going to walk you to the door. I'll be back. Don't nobody move. Nobody run off, right, fam? Oh, yeah. Here you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's a good group right there.
It is. They're great. But and we do 150
For a long time.
out at the other one. She brings them in.
They've been,
they bring 150
they've been
in there,
experimenting with
so.
drugs
Yeah.
for a real long time.
Yeah.
So,
And you
all
know
right,
the story
we'll talk.
about
Yep.
Coke,
Thank you.
the Coke soda, how they used to have actually cocaine in the Coke sodas. That was real, like in the early 1900s, until they found out how addictive it was. You know, it was like, man, we got to change this. Little old ladies down there banging at the door. I need one of them Cokes. You know what I'm saying? You know.
You got to listen for the click. It's a soft click. You got to listen for it.
Yeah.
Training day, folks. Training day.
So when I talk about, man, some of the alcohol and the drugs that's legal, you know, and what consequences you can drinking alcohol. You know, I mean, I saw something the other day, man, about these people that had accidents, you know, killing young kids, and somebody's family died. You know, that the wife and the kids and the husband was waiting on them to come home. You know, I mean, this is some powerful stuff, man. Powerful stuff. Alcohol and the drugs. Hey, John, and it ain't getting no less powerful. It's getting more.
What I wanted to point out was that for hundreds of years, we've had cycles of people trying to help us, okay? But here we are in 2023. We still got great demand for substances in America. Got great supply. We're never gonna stop the supply. It ain't gonna happen. We gotta attack it from the demand side. You guys, ladies, what you do really matters. You might think it don't matter much. Trust me, it does. More of us in recovery, we get pulled up out there, being that face and voice of recovery, reducing that stigma. These folks, the sheriff, Pam, they allow us to come in here and humanize the recovery message. There's nothing worse than to be in a terrible situation, an environment where even if you got the message, because of inhumane environment, you're not going to comprehend it. We're trying to humanize the experience. They're letting us do it. So it's going to be up to y'all to make our efforts worth it. Now, my main speaker tonight, no show. That happened. How many times y'all didn't show up for something, right? How many times you didn't show up for court, right? You know, come on, I know a couple of y'all didn't show up. But we got a fill-in tonight. You see him here every time we come up in here. He takes his time off in the evening. He comes here. He's got a beautiful wife and a home in Southside, extra driving time, but he comes up in here like a good student, and he helps Art set up and record. I've known Steve a few years. I've known him a few months, but he's been around a few years. And every time I talk to him, he's a polite, sweet man, you know what I mean? And I just thinking, well, somewhere under there, he probably got a good message, man.
Yeah.
So because we surround ourselves with recovering people and talent, we always got plenty of content for you folks. So Steve's going to come up here and share some experience, strength, and hope with us. So our soundboard man, Steve, give him a hand.
Hey, you want me to get on the camera?
Yeah.
You probably
messed it up, man. Good luck.
All right, I'm Steve, recovering addict, person in recovery, whatever you want to call it. I'm preferring the person in recovery now because I don't feel like an addict anymore. I've got almost 3 years clean time this time around. So. I didn't know I was speaking tonight. I'll try to think of something the past few minutes that can. All right. All right. It took me quite a while to get to where I had any solid clean time. A lot of different trial and errors, a lot of experimentation with different paths of recovery. This past time, I feel pretty solid. I'm working at McShin through Recovery Corps. It's an excellent opportunity. Work with John, Marshall, Art, Rob, Tanya, all these great people. I mean, it's really cool to come here and see you guys every week and every other week and promote this message. And I know other people out there are hearing this stuff and they see what you guys are doing, and hopefully that inspires them like it inspires me. But trying to think. Like,
share about your experience on when you were using, what happened during the using phase.
All right. I started really young. Like the first time I remember using and knowing I was using was I was 12 years old. I shot myself in the finger with a BB gun, split the bone, so it was just sitting in there. It felt like somebody was hitting my hand with a hammer just over and over. Took me to the emergency room. They couldn't take it out because it was down in the bone, so they gave me a bunch of hydrocodone. Sent me home with that. Took 2 of those, started watching a Disney cartoon that was on Sunday night. Just one of those things that gets burned into your mind. And my sister came home and she was like, oh God, he is fucked up. So that was the first time I got high and got recognition for it. It was just like a simple moment that stuck with me forever. And it felt great. I was like, this is what I've been missing. I didn't know I was missing anything until I felt that. Maybe some of you can relate the first time you used an opiate or any drug and you're like, oh, this is it. But you didn't even know you didn't feel good until you felt better.
By the end of the week, you were shooting all your fingers at those.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that just stuck in my mind. That was like, I didn't act on it for another 3 years. My friends all started smoking weed. We were out skateboarding all the time, and they made it look like fun. Like we could just skate and skip school, and started doing that. I found some seeds in the bag. And I was like, oh, wow, I can create this. So went out in the woods, started growing some weed, and got more recognition, more acceptance by my peers, more fun. It was great at the time. School kind of became a secondary thing. I did okay, got through it, but then to get more recognition, my friends were talking about doing acid. So I was like, okay, I'll be the first one to try that. So I took that one night, stayed up all night, lost in space completely. Just about lost my mind, but came down the next day and then once again got more recognition and more acceptance because I was the one that was brave enough to do it. So just that constant theme, like I'll be first and then I'll show you guys how it's done. But after that, it was more alcohol, more weed, just kept on going. And one was never enough, as they always say. It just became a daily event. And the only work I could find that could accept that kind of usage was restaurant work. So I was working nights for years and years. And they didn't care. As long as I came into work and did my job, I was good at that. Got high every night, every single night. And then that went on for quite a while. And then my friends started doing cocaine mixed with the alcohol because we could stay up later, drink more, go back to work, stay up later, drink more, etc. And I loved that. And once again, I got more recognition. Like, he's somebody that can handle it. He can stay up with us and go for 3 days in a row and just still show up to work and still do a good job. Well, I thought at least. And things just got worse and worse. I was getting more and more disconnected from my family. I was married by that point. I had a kid by that point. And it was just always, I can handle this. I can go to work. I'm making money. Who cares? I deserve it. And as you know, cocaine makes you feel a little wired. It's kind of hard to sleep. So I started adding the opiates back in. And then it became this cycle of opiates, cocaine, alcohol, weed, just every night. But I had a source of income, so it was not a big deal. I thought everything was okay. We had an apartment. My son was going to school. Everything was fine. And it just got more and more extreme. Like I just had to do it more and more. And I would stay up so late that in doing cocaine, my nose would clog up. So I couldn't do anymore, but I had to. I just had to. My friends are doing it, so they started smoking it. And I was like, well, why not? They're doing it. And we started smoking it. And first time, I loved it. I was like, this is the best. Why didn't I do this the whole time? And just got worse from there. And I couldn't afford it anymore, but I found a way to get it because I could drive for people to go distribute it. And it just got more and more haywire to where I was out every night driving these people around. It was fun at first. I was like, this is great. I'm not paying for it. You know, I'm not getting caught. They'd pull us over and I could talk our way out of it because I'd gotten used to doing that. But I knew it was a matter of time. It was just a matter of time. So I eventually got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. I was about to quit my job. I just felt like I was going to fall apart. Wasn't sleeping for days because I'd go out, work a whole shift, go out and drive till sunrise, go try to sleep for a few hours, go back to work. And that just went on until I was feeling crazy. I was feeling insane. So I decided to go into treatment. That was the hardest. That first time was the hardest. I told my wife and my mother-in-law, and nobody understood. I mean, I was like, I can't stop. You know, I just can't. So I went to an IOP. That was the first thing I tried. I started going to NA, but I really didn't connect to it. So I got away from it for maybe a year, you know, just kind of white knuckling it, as they say. And that was a tough time because I had nothing to replace it with. You know, I was just like, you got to find something. That's my biggest advice, is find something else. And I went back to it just gradually because I was good at hiding it, and snuck around, started adding on to it. It got more into heroin because I thought I could manage that. That's the crazy addict thinking. Like, I can't manage crack, so I can manage heroin. Because I don't shoot it. So I'm like, I'm not that bad off, but I was that bad off. And I went on just terrible benders for months. I mean, just every day, constantly. And then withdrawal, pretend like I'm sick, and I've got the flu, I've got, you know, a stomach bug, and then I get over it for a while, and then I'd start again, and just no life, just a horrible life. And I'm making excuses. I'm around my son, you know, he's seeing me do this. It was terrible. And so I went to IOP again and started going back to NA and got a home group and got connected, found some friends that I'd been using with out on the streets in NA, and they were, you know, getting clean too at that time. So then I started to get a network and started to gain trust back, and that stuck this time. So after lots of stops and starts, I feel really solid this time. I'm doing work I enjoy, helping art with the videos and multimedia stuff and web stuff. It's fun. And I think I'm helping other people out there. You know, we hear about it. Sometimes people see us and they're like, we're coming to McShin because we saw your videos, or it's good. It's a good thing. And if I could tell you anything, just, you know, get connected, get out of your head, get away from it. Just get away from it, you know. It'll get a lot easier. And I really don't have anything else. Thank you.
You know, there's always more to the story.
No, there's more.
Oh, yeah, there's more. Do you hear that? Oh, now! Tanya's always got words of wisdom. We got time, Tanya. Oh, come on. Hey, Tanya. Give you a mic.
Yeah.
Bright smile on today because, as they say in recovery, life does show up. And life is showing up for me. But what I have to remember is that I serve a God who delivered me before from certain things. I know he's going to deliver me now. I'm dealing with some situations with my sons that are getting the better of me if I allow them to. But I have to stand by faith and know that what God does for me, or continues to do for me, he's going to also do for them. But what I want to share with you guys is, while you're here, while you're in this process, while you're in this program, do your work, because you're not only doing it for yourselves, you're doing it for that voice that's echoing in your ear today, telling you to get help. So that same voice that's helping you will echo in the ears of your children and your grandchildren and those that are going to come after you. We're doing this so that we can bring an end to this epidemic. And the only way that we can do this and bring an end to this epidemic and stop some of the suffering that's going on in this world, because it just shows that we are in a world full of brokenness, with so many broken people, broken hearts, broken minds, broken families, broken lives. And it's now time for us to reach out, be a support group for one another. Understand that this is a we program. It's a group conscience. When I look out at each one of you, I see the Spirit of God. I see the love of God. I see the strength of God. I see the forgiveness of God, the kindness of God, the smiles of God, and that ear that someone needs to listen to their story, listen to their pain, that hug that you need from somebody else. This is a we program, and we need each other in this process. And as we need one another, someone else is going to need us. So we come into this process, we come in from a dark place. But when you come into step one and admit that you're powerless, that your life is unmanageable, the hope is by the time you get to that fourth step and you do your inventory and you do your internal work and you allow yourself to start healing from some of the pain, some of the trauma, some of the voices that told you that you would never amount to anything, that you were not worthy, that your life was no good, they only become your voices when you take them on as your own. So now you can replace those labels with better things. Labels can be removed. So now when you know who you are in Christ, when you know who you are in God, when he looks at you and he says that you are beautifully and wonderfully made, when he says that you are the king, the daughter or sons of a king, the Most High God, know who you are for yourself. So when you get in those still quiet moments and it's no one but you and God, and that quiet and the stillness, you know what to do with those emotions and those feelings when they show up, because what you do not address does not get healed. And I can't put emphasis on that enough, but the only way to stay stopped, you can stop using drugs, but the only way to stay stopped is by doing your internal work. And be mindful that we're doing this work not only for ourselves, but for our families, so that everyone that's attached to you can win, so that we're not the only winners, so that we will come to a place in this process where we move from being in the darkness to that place where now I'm a beacon of light. I'm a shot of hope for somebody else. I can shine my light. I can share my testimony. I can share my strength and my hope with someone else, with the hope that they too will want what I've been given. And then the best part of it is they will want to know about who this God is that got you over. Who brought you through? Who is this deliverer in your life? Because he delivered me from that childhood of abuse. He delivered me from that bad relationship. He delivered me from that divorce. He delivered me from that drug addiction. He delivered me from a life of not loving myself enough, not finding myself worthy enough for something good. He delivered me from those things. So when I've been delivered, that means that I've come out on the other side, that I've been through some things, that I've stood in the midst of some pain, but I've come out on the other side. And now today, I am better and not bitter. So all I will encourage you guys to do is to do your internal work. Take hold of the support that's offered in this program, even while you're here in this jail. So as you have walked in this door from a dark place, the hope is that when you leave out of here, you will be that beacon of light and that beacon of hope for someone else that's going to come behind you, and they're going to need to hear about your tests and your trials and your tribulations that have formed your testimony. We all have a story, and no one can tell your story better than you can. When you can tell your story from an honest place, using an honest voice, then you take your power back from the naysayers, from the people that don't understand what the dis-ease of addiction is, separated from ease and comfort. We understand one another, so now let's be that blessing to each other. Thanks for letting me share.
You know, a point of interest, and I realize y'all in a difficult spot. You know, work with me here for a minute on this. You got to admit, at some point in time in your life, your thinking and your actions were centered around getting high, chasing drugs. Am I right? Now, I know some of you accidentally had a bad night, screwed up, and you got 5 years. I get that. But most of us, that was funny, by the way, most of us, we got a history of addiction, unmanageability, screwing up, what some would call rudderless. Our purpose was to get high, find ways and means to get high. Here you are in recovery. You're in a situation that ain't the most pleasant, but it ain't the worst. My first 16 months in recovery, I was still in the United States Marine Corps Infantry. I was deployed to faraway oceans and countries. I was in troop transport ships. I couldn't use, I wanted to, I was angry. My environment wasn't conducive to recovery. They would say, it gets better, you'll find your purpose one day. I didn't know what they were talking about. All I know is I wanted to get high and I couldn't. Might be a similar situation. I know this much. No matter what drug you take, you can't get but so high. That much I'm sure of. How many of y'all ever take opiates? It's a question and answer time. I promise you, you get really high, a good place to be is when you're just sitting there drooling on yourself, okay? A bad place is you die. You get so high, you die. You know, alcohol. You can't drink for so much alcohol, or you're gonna go into a blackout and do some dumb shit and end up in jail. And then typically we'd be throwing up, hugging the toilet bowl. I mean, how high can you get on alcohol? Meth? You get so high on meth, you grind your teeth down to stubs. It ain't very glamorous, is it? Crack? You know you high when you crawling around the carpet, hiding in the closet, knowing helicopters after you. Yeah. Are you potheads? Yeah, you can get so stoned midnight, you're driving 15 miles an hour to McDonald's drive-through. Trust me, I'm well aware you can't get but so high. But now in recovery, we talk about a recovery high. My average daily recovery high is that good. Far outweighs my drug get high. And if there's one thing we like the good shit, don't we? Pay attention, fellas. Come on now, the movie's up here. If you fantasizing over that woman, you got issues, man. But here I am. How do you get? Pay attention. That recovery high. That's our purpose zone. When you find your purpose, my purpose is really good. It's better than any drug get high. That's what you got to hang in there and find that recovery purpose, and you will find out that's better than the drug get high. And once you get in that zone, you're going to want more of that. And it's progressive, and you'll get more. And the next thing you know, like in Marshall's case, 35 years go by. 35 years go by. You done lived the dream for 35 years. I'm living the dream today, 40 plus years. You want to live the dream. You do not want to stay in the nightmare. You got choices. Drug use, shit sandwich. Recovery, Twinkie. It's as simple as that. Yeah, donut. Recovery, donut. But you got to think about that. Think about that when you lay your head down tonight. Purpose. What is that son bitch talking about purpose? He's a fucking idiot. You know, I'm talking dropping acid, drinking liquor, making money, chasing girls, whatever. No, that ain't purpose. That's wreckage waiting to happen. Find your real purpose. How many times do you ask yourself sitting in your bunk, why am I here? What's this all about? Why am I on earth? What is this all about? Find your purpose and you'll find out. Keep doing what you've been doing, you'll never know. It'll be more the same. And if there's one thing you probably picked up by now, it gets harder and harder and harder to be out there. It don't get no easier. You can't tell me it gets easier. I know it don't. It gets harder. Easier, softer way is up in here. Yeah, I know some of y'all get to feeling it. I get it, man. I was in a shitty situation. Probably not quite this bad, you know. But you know what? You sit on 6 months in an iron ship with a bunch of men when you don't have no fresh water. You know, every 10 days you get a freshwater shower. You got nothing to eat, but what they had back then was always veal and rice, 3 meals a day. That ain't much fun. Yeah, we'd pull into a port in an exotic country and, you know, do the wild thing and shit. That was cool. Maybe we ought to start doing that up in here, man. A little liberty call and shit. I put the good word in for you guys, man. A little incentive there. But the point is, you got to do the work. That's another thing. I always say, you got to do the work. I can go through the steps with you, teach you the steps all day long, but you got to do the work. Marshall, you got any words of wisdom?
Yeah. Another thing, as John was talking, you know, like we say about us, man, educating ourselves once we come in here, you know, and this piece, man, we got a physical body, and then we got a spiritual body. 12-step program is a spiritual program. This is why they talk about being honest and finding yourself. Yourself ain't out here. Yourself is in here, you know? And that's the spiritual part that we got to get involved in. Start to find out who I am, you know, what I'm here for, you know? You ain't going to find it out there. You know, and what John was talking about, man, it's like the dream. For me, the peace of mind. The peace of mind. I mean, if you just stop chasing for 3 years like Stephen did, or you got something to compare, I'll take the peace of mind every day. I take it. You know, I feel like I own it now. You know, I love it. I live it. You know, and it's a spiritual. All of us got it, man. All of us got it. You know, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know everything. I read the book, and then I regurgitate it, spit it out. People think I'm smart.
I think you're pretty smart.
Yeah.
You never steered me wrong.
Yeah. And I tell anybody, man, let's make good decisions. Let's make good decisions, you know. I mean, because like John said, man, this thing now is, I got a book at home I'm looking at today, and it's about how drugs affect your brain. You know what I mean? How drugs affect your body, how it affects, and John was just talking about how it affects the physical. Them teeth that you don't grind down, you can go to the dentist and you can get a brand new set.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And into that physical stuff, that can be changed, that can be made over. You know? But the internal stuff, yeah. That's where the growing starts. That's where the growing takes place. You know, I'm changing my perspective, man. The only way you change your perspective is you change the seat that you're sitting in. You can't sit in that same seat and talk about changing your perspective. It ain't gonna happen, you know. Just remember now, you know, it's a spiritual part of us as well, you know, and a physical part, you know. What time is it, John?
Oh, we getting there, but I'm feeling just a little bit knowledgeable tonight, you know. For some reason, I was sitting here thinking, I forgot what I was thinking about. You talk too long, man.
Yeah.
You know, we get older and older up here. This shit happens, man.
That's getting old. Yeah.
But the steps, the spiritual. How many of y'all ever like been to church before hoping for good things to happen and it didn't quite hit on it? Or how many of y'all been to like a treatment before, a doctor, and you were hoping for stuff? Would a story kind of, you might have heard this before. You're an addict. You're in a hole. You can't get out, okay? Help me. I'm an addict. I'm in a hole. I can't get out. Well, a preacher walks by, looks down, and there's the addict. Hey, Reverend, I'm in a hole. I got addiction bad. I can't get out. And the Reverend says, well, you know, man, I've been there kind of. That's why I joined the ministry, and we're going to do some Bible verses, and I'm going to give you my Bible. And I'm gonna come on Wednesdays and Sundays, and we're gonna work on devotions or whatever, and then off the preacher walks. Addict's still in a hole; he can't get out. Then a Suboxone doctor comes by, and really nice, sweetest guy in the world, great bedside manner. The addict's explaining to the doctor how he's in a hole, he can't get out. The doc says, you know, he spends some real time with him, you know, 20, 30 minutes. He said, look, I'm going to give you the script of Suboxone, take it as prescribed. I'll check in with you every 30 days, and that'll be $300. So That's the part you laugh. That's how I know if you're paying attention or not.
Yeah.
Addict's still in the hole and he can't get out. And along comes Marshall. Addict's down there, help me, I'm in a hole, I can't get out. And Marshall looked down and said, I tell you what, step aside. Marshall jumps down in the hole with him, looks him in the eye and says, follow me, I'll show you the way out. That's what we're doing up in here. We're going to show you the way out.
I like that shit, John.
Yeah,
I like that,
yeah.
John. I like the moral of that story.
Don't hurt your other leg when you jump down there, though. But
I like the moral of that
you
story.
may not like the way you might have wanted that lightning bolt you get from being saved. You might have wanted that hit you get from this box. I don't know. Recovery process a little bit different for everybody, but I promise if you follow people been there before you, they got something you want, you'll get that. You just got to do what we do to get it. It is as simple as that. And here I am. I heard this shit 40 years ago plus. I thought, yeah, you full of shit like I want that. But you know what? I paid attention. I ain't missed a meal since. Okay? I've actually grown in size. I've always made above a livable wage. You know what I'm saying? I got respect from my family, my community. Most important, I get the privilege and honor of not just being a spectator of life, but a participator of life. And I do lots of human connection. You can't put a price on that. I mean, you got to think about that. Guys like us like to run up in here and do this. Pam got to have a heart and a spirit too. She comes in here and does this.
Yeah. Thank you,
Sheriff
Pam.
goes out on the limb. Absolutely. I mean, now I can't, this ain't guaranteed if you're going to inject your will. Remember, your best thinking got you in that seat you're at. Your best thinking got you there. Sometimes you got to let go of your best thinking and engage your thinking with the collective thinking of recovering people. You do that, you can't miss. You really can't miss. It's that simple. And I don't mind. I'm never bored. Okay?
Never had a bored day in 35 years.
I'm not bored. And I was 23 when I got clean, and I was unmarried. You know what I'm thinking? Making money, banging, you know what? You know what I mean? So I had plenty of years out there before I got married up and had kids and got mature and settled down. And you might be old by now thinking other stuff. I don't know, man. All I know is there ain't no future where you been.
No, the other side of it is, and I've been through that as well. I've been living 35 years, man. I done seen a lot of people die, man. I done seen a lot of people die. You know?
All of them didn't tighten
man,
up.
Man, John them got a wall full down there, man, about people that die. Man, it was a guy that was in Hanover, and I tell you, I like the dude, man. I thought the dude had a chance, man. The dude, man, left Hanover, went to a program, saved some money. One Sunday, he got high, went out there on the street, man, and jumped in front of a truck.
Yeah.
Took his life, you know? I'm like, wow, you know? That's one kind of death, but I've seen death, like death in my family, you know what I mean? And I always thought, man, what do you do? And we talk about growing up and being responsible young men, you know? What I had to do for my mother, you know what I'm saying? And man, I had no idea. I had no idea how to make her comfortable if she had died 15, 20 years ago. You know, when she died, I knew exactly what to do.
You put
because
yourself
like
in
John
position.
said, I got with some people that have done this before, and they showed me. They told me. Right. You know, I ain't know. My mother in the hospital, they was like, look, whenever she wake up every morning, she want to see a recognizable face. She want to see your face. You know, I said, okay. You know, I'm there. She wake up in the morning, I'm there rubbing her hand, rubbing her feet, rubbing her forehead, showing her some love. You know what I mean? And my mission for the last few years was redemption. Redemption. Redeeming some of that bullshit that had taken place, man, during my using, you know? And man, I got a chance to do that. So when my mother passed, man, my chest was sticking out. You know, She had 3 kids. She picked me to be her power of attorney, you know? And I was like, why? But I know why. Because I had redeemed myself.
You got a program.
Yeah. And I'll say this, man. A lot of this stuff that I hear about what people are doing today is because they are not grounded, because they don't have a program. I'm not here to tell you what your program should be. It can be the church. It can be a therapist. It can be a 12-step program. But you got to have something to ground yourself. You know? Man, you can't just be bouncing around any way the wind blow. You know? And I've gotten that, man. I've gotten that. Like Tanya said, you know what I mean? She going through something with the kids, going through something with the family. You know what I mean? She got a program. She know what to do, you know, to stay grounded. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what drugs gonna do?
You know, I always say, I tell everybody, put yourself in position to recover. And I'm looking at you folks. You guys are in position. And you can rub that one in, man. I know when I'm looking at people in position to get this thing, and you put yourself in position, you get an attaboy, attagirl for that one. Sheriff put y'all in position, you know, so just stay in position. Stay in position. That's it. Time's up. Give Marshall a hand. We'll see y'all in a couple
Thank y'all for
weeks.
being here. Thank y'all for being here. Next time we come, we're going to have steaks.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
We're going to grill outside.
You better talk with Pam
Bring the
before you
steaks
do
in
that.
Y'all be getting out in February. Man, that's going to be awesome.